I'm still really curious why she's in a play about Gainesville. Like, what's going on with that?
Welcome to My God a Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I review Georgia's 55-0 win over Vanderbilt, and we answer some bi-week questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember to check out store.mygodapodcast.com to see our latest merch, and you can follow us on social media at My God a Podcast. Finally, we'd love for you to check out our presenting sponsor, Oxia Time, at oxiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. So, hey, this time, Vanderbilt made us look like we know what we're talking about.
It went exactly like we thought.
It did.
I think that we did not cover before halftime.
True. We are pretty dang close. I know we didn't actually talk a whole lot on Saturday, so I think you're around town for soccer pretty much all day, or?
So I actually had a super secret. I didn't even tell you about it, but I had a super secret plan for my wife's birthday thing. So in case she listened and in case Carter listened, I didn't want him to know.
That's amazing.
Because he would spill the beans. For sure. Like that's the thing. That's the thing. Sorry, Carter. But we don't tell Carter important big events because he will find some way to either like, is it time to do the thing? Is it time to do the thing? And then, or he'll just like literally just be like,
right, like just staring.
He'll just stare at you and like just giggle and nothing. You know,
right.
Until my wife would be like, "Wait, what's your deal?"
Okay. Nice.
So I had a surprise party for my wife that I planned for. I did a little DIY. What do you call it? Edible arrangement situation with my daughter, and
nice.
So I was running around shopping for things because I feel like my wife would have asked a lot of questions had she seen a fridge full of fruit.
Yes. Yeah. What's going on here?
Yes, exactly. and chocolates, chocolate dipped strawberries and chocolate dipped pretzels, all that stuff. And so she had said she wanted her brother and my sister-in-law to come over. And so invited them all over and we did a little, everybody jumps out and surprises and all that kind of stuff. So nice. I actually did that for a huge chunk of the day. And to be perfectly transparent, it took a lot longer than I anticipated to do the DIY edible arrangement. There's a reason that they charge like almost $200 for like a large arrangement for those things.
Right. That's really cool.
It was fun. She appreciated it. It was a family affair to make it, and she was quite possibly the most scared I've ever seen her when we all jumped out.
So you got her. That's good.
Yeah,
that's good because that doesn't always happen. So, but when it works, though, it is pretty cool.
No, it helped that she was at a girls' day out, so she came back feeling good.
Okay, nice. That's good. And it's almost like I don't know. I mean, it's like not far from charcuterie, so it's pretty close to the adult Lunchables, kind of.
Right. We had white chicken chili, which was Carter's favorite. Also, my wife liked it. It was good.
Okay, nice, man. That's awesome. That explains things, making things make sense.
Yes. I was probably quiet on the texter during the game.
That's what I was saying. I was like, John's kind of quiet. That's okay. I thought you were just at soccer. I know. What did I do? I ended up smoking wings again, and like because we decided to do that for dinner. But so I was like smoking them, like trying to have them like cooked before kickoff, and everything cut off like right to kickoff. So the first drive was very frantic to me because I had the iPad over at my like Big Green Egg watching there at the beginning. So, but anyways, it was all good. So
nice.
I did that and the bean dip, Pondo's famous bean dip trademark.
Love it.
So basically, had that for dinner, and then just kind of sat around and continued to watch college football, and then actually watched a little bit of baseball. Um, well,
Ugh,
I guess we could get over that. Yeah. So
I wish I hadn't watched
I
any
know.
baseball.
Yeah, I did the multi TV setup. So I had like Georgia Vanderbilt on the primary TV, and then I had Alabama Tennessee, and then I had the Braves on, until they were done. Um, which it was pretty funny to me, like watching having Georgia Vanderbilt and Alabama Tennessee. So like the difference between the timing of an SEC network game and the CBS game was like it's so glaring to have them both on at the same time. Like you always know, I mean, the CBS games are long, and like we know this, but
Oh
like
yeah, it was
quarter
way
by,
long.
but by having them both at the same time, like quarter by quarter, it was insane. Like how much further into the Georgia game was than the Bama game. I guess I should say the Tennessee game, uh, but like it was that was crazy to me to just kind of watch that. So at any rate, we're doing this a day later than usual, I guess, kind of.
Correct. Yes,
Um, so don't always have the bourbons for the review episodes, but we do tonight. So
we do tonight.
what do you have there?
I have the you piqued my interest, and then maybe
Oh,
there's probably some folks that are gonna yell at me for it, but I've got the Chattanooga whiskey. I'm breaking out the Tennessee. Sorry, guys.
uh,
The players may be chastised, and will absolutely get reamed for looking ahead to Tennessee. I, as a fan, have no impact on the team's performance in that regard.
okay,
I'm fully focused on both teams, and I will
okay,
hate both teams for the next 3 weeks.
nice. Which Chattanooga whiskey do you have?
Yeah, I've got Chattanooga whiskey, the Scotch cask.
Oh wow,
So it's a 4 year bourbon that's been aged at least 3 months in Islay Scotch barrels. So it is actually the most recent version. John, if you've got another update, let me know. But it's the most recent version of bourbon that John has clued me in on, because he and I both have a natural affinity for
Hmm.
smokier bourbons, which is kind of hard to find,
Okay,
just because of how they're made and stuff. So, you know, peated whiskeys and Scotch is very peaty, malty.
okay,
If you're looking for one, you probably can't find these anymore because it was a limited series. But John was nice enough to clue me in on one, and I grabbed one when they came out. But there's a there's a bourbon that ASW, American Spirit Whiskey in Atlanta, makes that's called Duality, which is kind of similar to this, and that's actually something you could probably still get. So if you find one, that's the type of whiskey John and I like to find, is that smoky bourbon.
gotcha. Okay, cool. I just went with Buffalo Trace this evening. And I actually had because I was low, and so I poured off the very last bit of my last bottle into my infinity bottle actually earlier today,
Excellent.
before we started, and just opened up a new one. So this is the first pour of my
I tell
latest
you,
bottle.
I tell you what, I haven't seen Buffalo Trace in quite some time.
Yeah, I rarely see it. I just buy it when I do. So
Yeah,
and
smart
I got
man.
it. I got it. To and from the Natty when we stopped by the actual distillery, and then if I see it, I just grab it.
Excellent.
So all right. So Vanderbilt. Like I said, it went
Oh
like
yeah, oh yeah. We played football.
we
It's
did
not
play
bye
football.
week. It's not bye week yet.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Yet. Um, we have the general things that we look at, like statistics wise. Did you look at the ESPN Gamecast?
Did I look at the game cast? No, I didn't actually.
All right. You like to talk about the win probability?
Yeah, yeah.
It is a horizontal line, Georgia 100%. It never moved.
It never moved. That's funny. That's not very often that happens.
I don't know that I've ever seen that. I don't look at that as closely as you do, but I can't remember ever seeing that. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, a game that's 55-0. I mean, which is crazy. Like, and it'll be interesting to watch them play the rest of the season. I mean, they put 21 points on Ole Miss, and Ole Miss is a top 10 team. So
Right. Right. Yeah, I think they had 28, something like that, 21, 28, something like that. I mean, um, like if you want to like nitpick, I mean, there were some plays that were there to be made by Vanderbilt, but then they like kind of remind you that they're Vanderbilt. Like they had some open receivers, like they got open a couple of times, but they weren't able to connect. Yeah, their main guy Shepard. I mean, he should have had a touchdown pass. A touchdown reception. He had, I think Ringo beat. I think he like jumped over Ringo or something like that down the sideline. And if he had come up
Mm-hmm.
down with the ball, he would have run away and scored. So there were a couple of things there that their offense could have done. But like I said, they kind of showed us. They reminded us that they're still Vanderbilt, I guess.
Yeah, for
Sorry,
sure.
guys, but like I mean, so there was that. But then, I mean, on like our offensive side, it was good to see us come out like firing. Like we didn't
Yeah.
have to sit there and wait for them to get going. They were just going from the start, which is kind of what we've been waiting to see for a while.
Yeah, I would say that it was kind of one of those games that I don't think, as I recall, I mean, I don't think there were any injuries in this game, but it was the kind of game that was like, that's what you want. You wanted your offense to finally start gelling for 4 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to see some depth built. I kind of wish that they had busted out Carson Beck a little earlier than they did.
Yeah, I actually was thinking that during the game too.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like Stetson played longer than he probably should have. Anyway, but overall, I mean, yeah, bell to bell, it's great timing. It looked like that we finally figured out what to do with the offensive line, and
Mm-hmm.
how to maximize their efforts. We said it before the game. Like I had I had facetiously asked, like, don't you think you would have expected to see more Darnell Washington based on the preseason hype? And
Yep.
the man was out there dominating people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So literally everything worked out great. I mean, Branson Robinson was getting more carries. Dejan Edwards was getting more carries. Like those are all things that we have said, hey, we need to see more of this.
Mm-hmm.
And Todd Monken was like, here you go, John.
Right. So on your injury note, the only thing that comes to mind is Ladd. But my
Oh yeah,
understanding,
yeah, yeah.
my understanding is that if the game was like he could have kept playing, it's just that the game was no longer in any kind of doubt, so they saved him. So
So
that's my understanding.
there was that, and I don't know if any of our listeners picked up on it or if you picked up on it when they were watching the game, but the Matt Sitchcomb called it out at least twice
Mm.
on the game, talking about Stetson doing this shoulder rotating, like when your arm is
Yeah.
sore, and we talked about that before the game. That seemed like it was Kirby had kind of admitted that he had picked up a bit of a knock in the Missouri game, and so he was working it out, man. Apparently he felt pretty good, but I mean, he was definitely breaking the huddle, working his shoulder.
Yeah. 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 He was.
There's no hiding it. He was definitely not feeling 100%.
Yeah. It's interesting though because like he looked better, like like accuracy wise or whatever. Like I don't remember like because he's been having these like kind of randomly off throws, and I don't remember seeing any of those.
There's a
Um,
couple. There was a couple. There was one that Ladd, he kind of threw it. He kind of threw it off. Had it hit him in stride, he would have been gone. Rosemy Jack Saint. There was one where he hit Rosemy Jack Saint wide open over the middle. I think it was a third down pass.
mm,
He kind of threw it a little bit off of him. Had he caught it in stride, he would have been gone. I mean, these are we're talking about picking nits here. The biggest of which, like, and I mentioned, I think that Stetson played a lot longer than he should have.
yeah,
There was a play late in the third, which was the absolute, like, if you want to actually point to something in the game that it's like, oh my gosh, we need to fix that like now. Um, there was a series where they got down to basically the goal line. It was like
mm,
you
yeah,
know, first and 10 goal, first and 10 from the 10-yard line. But they got to the line and the play took forever to come in. And I think that Stetson was kind of yelling at the line at the
Mm-hmm.
sideline, like, let's get the play, let's go. And then he kind of gets it. And I don't know if he looked confused or if at that point Branson Robinson was in the game, so maybe his youth. It looked like Branson was switching around a good bit. And it just took too long. And then I think they had a false start penalty or something like that. I was like yelling at the screen. I was like, "We have 3 timeouts. We're winning like 40 something to nothing. Like, please just call a timeout and just figure it out." And I was like, "Just call timeout. Just call timeout."
Yeah.
And they didn't call a timeout. The next play ended up being a loss, a run for a loss, and that put us in a 3rd and long situation. And we decided to drop Stetson back to pass. And it was a long developing pass play, clearly because they had good coverage or whatever. But Stetson had to roll out and run for his life, and like instead of throwing the ball away or diving or just flat out just running out of bounds, for some reason he decided to fight for another couple of extra yards and got absolutely rocked.
Yeah, he took a big hit. I remember that. Yeah, I knew where you were going.
Yeah, like that series, that whole amalgamation of just absolute like, good Lord, what are we doing here this late in the game, up so much, and our starters in, like, what are we doing?
And I think that was his last drive. I think I
It
could be
should have
wrong.
been. It should have been.
I'm pretty sure it was. So like, yeah, that was that whole drive. I do remember thinking like, why is he still in the game exactly? So yeah, agreed. Yeah, that's my only
Yeah,
nitpicking.
like throw it away, dude. Throw it away. Run it. Run it. You got 5 yards. You're not going to get anywhere close to the first down. Like,
Yeah,
and he just got clocked. And I'm pretty sure he landed on his throwing arm too, which is what, like, they kept showing the replay over and over again. I was like, oh
mm.
my God, that's his shoulder. Oh, God.
right. Yeah, that was less than ideal.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Cash Jones got himself a touchdown too.
oh my gosh, yeah, Cash Jones touchdown. Um, and then like the two like really good feel good moments, even more so with Don Blaylock getting a touchdown and Avery Gilbert getting a touchdown. Um, and it sounds like the sideline like erupted when Avery scored. So that's pretty
Yes,
cool.
that was really cool to see. Was Arik, and another cool moment, like feel good moment, was everybody celebrating Carson Beck when he threw the touchdown.
Yeah,
Which, by the way, dude, Buddy looked on the money.
he looked good. He did. I think that's the that. I mean, that's the best he's looked. Right.
If Cash catches the drop ball, I think he's a perfect.
Mm.
I mean, I
Oh
think
yeah,
he jumped into the game, and like within a couple of minutes was already at almost 100 yards passing and a touchdown.
yeah. He looked good. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he was like, wasn't he like 7 for 7? Like started out, I think, and then he was like 7 of 8, but because of a drop, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you got the stats up, I think, but
I figured. Yeah, looks like he was eight of 11 for the game,
yeah,
first time in there. So yeah, I mean, yeah, there's not a lot. Like I said, there's not a lot to complain about. I mean, I think, like I said, I think starting fast from the get go was awesome. Stetson, let's see, did he have a rushing touchdown? He didn't have a rushing touchdown, right? So he didn't hit that, but the 250, the 250 yards passing with a rushing touchdown. But
yes,
he had 2 passing touchdowns. So that was nice to see.
yep. He looked pretty good for the most part. Um, Dejon Edwards was the big gainer for the running game. I thought that was good.
Yeah,
Um,
it's interesting, like how many rushing yards we had as a team, but how few each individual had, right? So, because Edwards was a leading rusher with 49 yards.
I mean,
Uh,
that's kind of how I feel about the passing game too. I mean, we
yeah, that's true. That's
almost
true.
400 yards, almost 400 yards receiving, and not a single one of them had over 100 yards.
True. With Darnell Washington leading the way with 78. So,
Yeah, seriously.
yeah. The one play, I know, like we're talking about, like something Stinchcomb said, and I don't remember if this was Stinchcomb or the play by play guy, but like when I think it was a play-by-play guy. Taylor Zarzer, now infamous Taylor Zarzer, said that it looked like Darnell was playing with the youth football. one time when he got that was good.
That's funny.
That was good.
And Dylan Bell had a long pass play called back. He probably if had we
Mm,
not been
yeah.
penalized on that, he would have been our 100-yard receiver.
Well, no, that was the it was that he was down. That was where like,
Oh, that's right. It wasn't a penalty. Yeah,
his
he was
elbow was
down.
down, which I thought was kind of weird. Like I agree he was probably down, but I didn't feel like the replay showed it. Like to me, like I felt like logically it made sense that his elbow was down, but I didn't feel like the angles that they showed on TV really showed it, even though I don't disagree with it. Um, but and I know I've seen some people talking about. We saw it on the Dog Central, like on the forum, about like the quality or lack thereof with these SEC Network broadcast games. Like that play, like the announcers are talking about how Bell is like off to the races, and like they were like showing Stetson Bennett, like the camera was not like with him at all, and it happened a few times where the camera like lost the ball in the game. It was kind of weird.
Well, you had that, and then there was like several long minutes of nothing but like natural audio from the game.
Mm,
There were several instances where there was just no audio from the announcers, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But I was like, this is
right.
dead. This is like way more than it should be dead air. I
Interesting.
think something was wrong. The other thing
Okay.
that, at least on my broadcast, there was like like multiple points. I was like, is there something wrong with my TV? But it was like the broadcast,
Mm.
like it was like there were missing pixels in the broadcast
Oh, really?
on my end. Yeah,
Interesting. I didn't notice it, but that doesn't mean anything. I could have just
yeah.
missed it.
It's probably Comcast. Anyway,
YouTube TV. I didn't seem to have the issues.
not a sponsor yet.
Yeah, yet. I don't know. Anything else on this one?
Mm,
Or did you learn anything from this game?
we didn't have any punts, did we?
We did have one. We
We
had
did
one
have
punt,
one.
but it
Okay.
was a short one. It was like kind of like a pin 'em down punt. Like I think it was
Okay.
a 36-yard punt, but I think that was intentional
Just
from what
making
I'm
sure.
remembering.
Just making sure that Stetson still likes Australians.
Yeah. Oh, actually, one thing. So something you had called out in the preview that their kicker hadn't missed all year, and he missed in this game.
He did miss, and I believe that the announcers also mentioned that he was probably was it their punter? Yeah, there was the punter. They commented on the punter like he did a really good job punting. That was another interesting takeaway from the announcers.
I mean, yeah, I suppose. I know we had some pretty good punt returns. That was nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, um,
Mm-hmm.
which got us to the over. Ooh, let's wait. Actually, let's hit our let's recap our picks actually on this one.
Okay.
I had to go through them all individually, but you maintained your lead. We both were actually pretty much on fire. So like in this game, you went 7-1, and I went 6-2. So you were able to extend your lead ever so slightly.
What did I miss on?
You missed on one of the offensive picks. That was the only one that you got wrong. I can't remember which one it was. And then I was 3-0 on offense and defense, but I got both the other ones wrong because I took under on special teams. It was like 50 something punt return yards, and we hit the over, and I said the under. And then the other
Mm.
one that I got wrong that you got right was the 2.5 over under 2.5 quarterbacks playing the game. So you got that right. I got that wrong. Which
Nice.
shout out 51-7 GATA. I don't know if you saw that tweet where he said that when Vanderbilt in his seat, he said over, like he said it aloud.
I feel like Kirby listens to the podcast and
Yeah,
knew that he needed to hit the over on it.
that's right. Yeah, he's trying to help you out. So you're saying that Kirby tries to help you out with
Yeah.
the obviously. I mean, so we're not going to do a full separate, like bi-week episode, just FYI, but we do have something else that's coming out this week. Um, but we're going to do something completely different, not bi-week related. So I guess, I mean, let me just ask you this, like, I don't know, like report card through this part of the season or whatever. I mean, like we're undefeated as we expected, but like, where are we? I guess, is there anything that's like, as far as where we're at, that is different than what you expected?
I expected there to be a lot more emphasis. Well, I guess I shouldn't say emphasis because I am really surprised at the lack of production from the tight ends, even though they're like our leading receivers. But like, it just feels like that they're not quite as involved as they like otherwise probably should be, given the
Mm.
performance that we've seen from the wide receivers. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that's fair. I guess, like, but to your point, like I know you already caveated it, right? It isn't what like Brock's like first in yards, and I think Darnell's third. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
but like Darnell has really picked up as of late, right?
Yeah,
And I know
it's
you're
like
looking at that.
a recency.
Yeah,
We got recency bias.
right, right. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Um,
Mm.
I think for me, like, I mean, whatever. I expected us to be undefeated, and we are. Um, I think. I think like I knew like Starks like we knew Starks was going to be good, but he's still like holy cow. I mean, like he just came out of the gate and is like the I mean snap count and everything just plays so much. So that's been really cool.
He's lighting the proverbial world on fire.
Yeah, yeah, he is. So I don't know. That's been good. I don't know. I guess I was kind of questioning like with the offense. I was questioning the whole like this is going to be an offensive team, etc. And that's kind of played out how maybe I was questioning it to be somewhat, but um, I, I I think I'm pleasantly surprised with the defense. I think the defense has exceeded my expectations through
Yeah,
7 games. So
I did not expect when I so after the game. Was it yesterday? Was it yesterday evening? I had some downtime and I was like just super curious about some of the matchups and stuff, and so tried not to look too far ahead. And so I looked at Florida, looked at Tennessee, just trying to see like where we're at from an offensive, defensive standpoint. Like,
mm,
you know, if I'd have told you before the season that to this point we would be the number 4 team in total offense, like, would you have thought that that was a surprise? Would you have been surprised by that?
yeah, actually, I think I probably would have.
Yeah, I would have too. I expected us to be more high powered and, high potency, high efficiency, all that kind of stuff. But like to be leading, in the top 5 on in terms of total offense, and to have Stetson Bennett basically flirting with the, Heisman potential
Hmm.
for
Yeah,
a good chunk of the season so far was a bit of a surprise.
yeah,
I'm super bummed. I'm super bummed and surprised that Jalen Carter hasn't had more of an impact on the defense. But I think that that actually, sits in our favor with how we are structured from a defensive standpoint. Like we're still performing at a pretty elite level.
yeah.
Um,
We just got to
yeah,
get him back healthy.
I would agree. I would agree. I'd feel a lot better about some of these games coming up with him healthy, and that kind of goes for AD Mitchell. Like I kind of expected.
Mm,
I think I had mentioned on a preseason that I was looking for him to have a breakout, Devontae Smith type season,
yep,
and unfortunately he got hurt early on and hasn't really featured. Hasn't
yep.
really been a factor in that number 4 ranked offense.
That's true.
Um,
That's true.
which is just crazy, man. Like we just have such an embarrassment of weapons on the offensive side. The other thing that would be that's kind of weird is I didn't think that we would be. I didn't think it would take as long for us to figure out what we were dealing with on the offensive line.
Yes, I would. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. Good progress over the last 2 weeks, but and I think especially so much because like the first game was so amazing. It's
Hmm.
like we look so good right out of the bat. I do think that's. I think a lot of that is youth. A lot of new faces. Last year's team was like powered by the guys coming back, the run it back, the guys that came back for one more year, and that we so like there's a there has been a leadership void, or there was a void left by those guys, right? So still, I think they're probably still trying to find their way. Like they don't have those guys around anymore to be like, hey, look, we got to focus, even though it's a lesser opponent, etc.
Hmm.
So I don't, but I mean, they definitely look focused this week. Hopefully, they learned their lesson from the Missouri game. you know,
Agreed.
um, yeah, cool. I'm trying to think. I guess like so. Aside from that, I mean, outside of Georgia, as far as midseason, there are still a lot of undefeated teams left. I know that's something we talked about. last week you were surprised at how many there are, and there still are a bunch, but there is one who is no longer there. Um, I figure we have to talk at least a little bit about Alabama, Tennessee. So with your goings on, were you watching that game as much?
The
Alabama,
the,
Tennessee.
the Alabama game. Yes,
Okay,
I watched a good chunk of it, and that's where you were talking about like how late the games were on
right,
CBS.
because it went so much
I
longer.
was, yeah, I was really surprised. I was like, oh wow, we're able to watch a lot of this. A lot of that was just due to the nature of how high powered those offenses were and how
It's true.
little everybody wanted to play defense. Apparently, um, yeah, I watched a good chunk of that game, and let me tell you, man, I walked away a little more confident that we could play and hang with those guys because I just was just flabbergasted by how awful Bama's defense was in that game. Like
Yeah.
everything, you want to talk about everything going wrong. Like they had like what 17 flags or something like that. They're now
Mhm.
the most penalized team in the country, which is I don't even recognize that team, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It was nuts. I mean, like, I thought Tennessee was going to run away. I mean, I thought they were going to like run them out of the stadium in the first half. But then, Bama comes roaring back. And then it's kind of weird. Like, I think I texted my dad something along the lines of like that Alabama should have won the game, which they probably should have, kind of. But like, so much of it was so weird. Like, I mean, like Tennessee gave them that touchdown late, with the zone read, like muffed handoff that was for a touchdown for Alabama. That happened. But then after that, like, the end of the game was, I mean, Jameer Gibbs catches that ball. I think he may have scored, honestly. Like, if not, it's a much more manageable field goal. So I don't know. It
If
was kind of,
it,
it was a weird one. Like, it was a wild game. It was a wild game.
I thought it was strange. The biggest weirdness from that game that I can recall was that Alabama put the game. Well, I didn't say they put the game, but in very crucial situations, there was. I can't. I think they were both third downs, like huge third downs, and they tried to throw the ball to Burton on one of them, and it looked like he. We joked that he ran the wrong route, but
Right.
and then Jamar Gibbs, who came from Georgia Tech, like they relied on these players that they didn't
Mm,
actually recruit,
yeah, that's true.
which was weird in big moments. So I don't know, man. The whole thing was weird. And the like uncharacteristic, like it almost looked like a a scene from like a Mark Richt game or something like that. I mean, I don't know if that's fair, but like I don't know. It's just you just don't think that Alabama is going to basically clear out on a punt and then have some guy come in and try to pick it up
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Right.
and then fumble and then muff it. Although
Yeah.
I will say, in my opinion, upon replay, he got blocked in the back. Like a defender came in and like hit him before he had picked up the ball
Gotcha.
and caused him to drop it.
Gotcha. Yeah. See, I didn't. I know that happened, and I remember that, but I didn't see that replay or notice that. So,
In
yeah.
fairness, I didn't notice it live. It's something that I
Okay.
saw in a replay today that someone ran super slow mo, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh my god, he got hit!" And that's why he fumbled it because literally someone knocked into him and he fell into the ball basically.
Yeah. 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 So yeah, it definitely is
Oh,
interesting.
It was Coach 30. It was Coach 30.
Someone showed it. Apparently, I
Yeah.
haven't seen Coach 30 today. Shoot, I need to go watch that.
No, there's a Coach 30 on the Tennessee Alabama game. I'd say
Okay.
it's not some of his best work.
Yeah.
I think the same thing about the SEC shorts. I thought that they were going to be much more brutal with that one, but um, I don't know. I have a feeling that because that guy is like an Alabama fan, so I think he took it easy on his own team. Little homerism going on
Coach 30
there.
is an Alabama fan.
No. I'm talking about SEC shorts. The
Oh, that
SEC
guy. Sorry,
shorts.
I just got like really freaked out for a second. Okay, gotcha. Yes, yeah.
No,
So
I feel like Coach 30 is like a USC fan because he's in a lot of USC videos right now.
okay. Yeah, I don't know what he is. I
He
know.
is orange. He's orange.
What I haven't seen yet, which would probably be funny, is the who's the run the ball guy.
Funny
Funny
Maine.
Maine. Yeah, I wonder if Funny Maine's got a how Bama fans watch college football.
Oh, that's a
Or if
good
he's out yet.
point. That's a
We'll have to go
good
look for
point.
that. But
How
yeah,
Alabama fans watch the game.
yeah, exactly. I mean, as far as like kind of this point of the season, I would there. Even last week, I didn't think Tennessee was going to be Alabama. Before the season, I certainly would not have believed that. So that's definitely shocking. I was surprised, like you said, man, uncharacteristic stuff from Bama, and Tennessee took advantage. And like the fact that there's like Bama fans crying about officiating is kind of glorious.
Did they have all of their wide receivers
I don't know.
available?
I know Tennessee didn't, but at any rate,
Mhm. That'll be interesting. You know, since we're on the topic, like, Josh, over at Dog Central, I know that they're going to have some stats that they're going to be putting out for, as we approach these upcoming games and stuff, because he's tracking the net yards and all that kind of stuff. And
yeah.
I'm a big proponent of the net yards per play, just based off of something that the Senator posted a few years ago about
Mm-hmm.
like what it takes to be a truly elite team.
Right.
And we were asking, I was asking it in the text thread, like what the updated stats were, and he provided it to me. And so in order to be a championship level team, your offense has to average over 40 points a game, I think is what the first measure is. And then the second measure is you need to come out as a net yards per play of 2.6 or 2.4 or something like that,
Okay.
net yards per play or more.
Okay.
And with this last game, and then obviously, it's going to change throughout the season. We had not been playing at that level, but I think with this game, it kind of bumped us up solidly into that benchmark
Got it.
of playing at the level that you need to play to be a championship team.
Okay.
Tennessee was like a push. I think they're at a zero, like they're basically zero net yards. The only other team that is in our arena, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
is Ohio State. And in fact, they're ahead of us. They're like 3.6 net yards per play. Georgia's like 2.6 or 2.8 or something like that.
Yeah,
I
I think we're
can't.
2.8. Yeah.
Okay, I can't remember. I can't remember what it was, but it's basically Georgia and Ohio State, and then literally everyone else when it comes to net yards per play.
Gotcha.
And then the S&P Plus, I think, is also pretty positive for both of those teams as well.
Okay. Yeah. I was looking. Yeah. I know I was pulling back up. We were at 39 and a half points per game heading into Vanderbilt. So I would assume we're over it now.
Right.
Cool. Nice. Well, that was a good weekend. And I don't know that homecoming, and took care of business. And like I said, came out fast and made us look good on our predictions.
Yeah, man. Homecoming and the Dog Central guys Graham got the last question in on Kirby's presser, so we got
Yeah,
the Dog Central folks are credentialed for this last game, which is awesome.
yeah, that was pretty cool. Happy to see that. Stuff has come a long way in a very short time. And for those who didn't notice, yeah, Graham was there. He was in the press box and credentialed media, part of Doug Central. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Oh, we didn't get the breakdown on what the food was. Did we get the breakdown on that?
You need to
I
ask
talk to
him.
him.
I need to ask him.
That's what Seth is always complaining about it. So
Yeah. I feel like that's like a rite of passage. He definitely should have tweeted complaining about the food. we need
Mhm.
we need to talk to him about that. Too good. Too good. Um, well, before we move on, I do just want to remind everyone that season 3 of My Guide Podcast is presented by Oxia Time. Oxia Time is a custom watch company. And if you want to commemorate the dog's national championship in style, you've got to check out their Georgia national championship timepieces. John and I both have one, and we're definitely loving them. Like I said, they're like made in Switzerland, true Swiss watch, self-winding. There's no battery. You don't have to wind the watch. It winds itself as you walk. So it's very cool. Something I've never had before. And on top of that, it's officially licensed by both University of Georgia and the College Football Playoff. So if you want to check it out, go check them out at axiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. And exclusively for our listeners, you can get 10% off these watches by using the code MyGottaPodcast at checkout.
Yeah, and you get your engraving for FTMF since we're coming up on the Florida game.
Perfect. Well said. Well, with no, like I said, we do have something else coming out this week, which I guess we can go ahead and say it. Everyone will know by the time they hear this, right? John, does that matter?
I would think so. Yeah, go ahead. Tell the people, Jim. They want to know.
Okay, so I know, and we had already gotten some feedback on this, and we have been planning this, but had just been trying to get the schedules aligned right because our next guest, he lives across the pond, so it's not always easy for us to sync up time wise with him. So we will have Chris, aka British Bulldog, back. So we're going to talk to him. As far as for John and I tomorrow. So we are going to basically do the newest installment of the My Gotta Podcast Stories series and just get Chris's full story about attending the Kent State game. So that will be the second episode this week.
Yes, looking forward to it, and then we can commiserate on Manchester United as well.
Okay, we'll see. Maybe. All right. Well, we did, so we did go ahead. We went ahead and solicited listener questions since we're not doing a game preview. So these are our bi-week listener questions. So we can run through those. First up, we've got Trent Thacker. So kind of on topic of what we were just talking about from Bama, Tennessee. So he said, I was watching the live post-game coverage of Bama, Tennessee, and noticed they were playing Dixieland Delight in Neyland Stadium as the crowd celebrated on the field. We all know that Bama has a long history with that song. I thought it was a really nice troll job by Tennessee after finally beating the Tide. So here's my question. After Georgia beats the Vols by 3 touchdowns in a couple of weeks, whoa, hold on, Trent, hold on. Should the Redcoats play Rocky Top? Feels like giving them a taste of their own medicine might be a good way to send the hillbillies home. Here's what I'll add. One thing I'll add there is I believe like that song is actually about Tennessee, I think. And it's by that song, Dixieland Delight, is by the band Alabama, but I think it's kind of about Tennessee. So I think like folks in Tennessee also love that song.
He says Tennessee Byway. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's that is also kind of like they also kind of consider it their song. Obviously, Alabama considers it their song. I'll say this. I feel like that's a question for Nathan Lawrence or maybe Brett Belding, like on Redcoats playing Rocky Top. I don't see it happening.
No. So here's the other thing that's different in that scenario is that, the band didn't play Dixieland Delight. They had it playing on the speakers. So I believe I would love to see us troll Tennessee by blasting Rocky Top on the speakers. Do I think it's going to happen? No, because we're civilized and we're not complete morons like the Tennessee fans. And like literally, they're on the field smoking cigars, saying that this is the greatest day of their entire life. It's like, dude, you just beat Alabama in an SEC championship, or it's not an SEC championship. Right. It's not a college football playoff. Like, congratulations! It's the first time you beat them in 15 tries previously. So,
they've been forever.
Dude, like seriously, like wow.
Yeah, I think it's a good point too, right? Like that's a lot of pent up losses, and we don't have that versus Tennessee.
No, we don't.
Not anymore. So I would say probably not. I doubt we do anything. Now I did like it when like Jake Fromm like sang Rocky Top in the Tennessee locker room, like stuff like that. Like I like that, but I don't see the school like saying anything that's like somewhat sanctioned by the school happening, for what it's worth.
Yeah, no way that's gonna ever happen.
All right, let's see. Next up, Brian Michelis. What are y'all's top 3 favorite bourbons, and what are y'all's favorite way to consume them? And I love this. Thank you, Brian. He adds a clarification for you, John. He said, and to clarify, I mean, how do y'all like to drink your bourbons? Old fashioned, bourbon and Coke, etc. So, so I like mine over ice. Actually, is like the primary way. for me. Do you? How much
Yeah.
neat do you do? Do you do neat at all, or just over ice?
So my rule of thumb is that if it's a new bourbon for me, I will try it neat as a number one respect for the distillers and distillery. Just try,
Okay.
because I do recognize that there are subtle changes in notes that happen when you do it over a cube. That said, I personally do not like warm beverages that I
Mm,
don't feel like should be warm. So I just like lukewarm water is something that I just don't like drinking. So
okay.
I will always have ice in my water. I'll always have ice in my bourbon, unless it's a bourbon that I'm. There's probably a handful of them out there, like the the pappies of the world or whatever, where it's probably not a really good thing to put an ice cube in it. But
Yeah.
there's not many bourbons out there that I would not put an ice cube in.
Okay. Yeah.
Especially given the fact that if I've purchased it, if someone's gifted it to me and they ask me not to put a cube in it, then
Mm,
I probably won't.
got it. Yeah. I definitely learned a lot. The what is it called? Neat. There's a documentary that you turned me on to. It's called Neat, I think.
It's called neat. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and there's a piece in there when they're at Buffalo Trace, and actually, like, where the guy is it was one of the things they do in the tastings there is like you try it neat first, which is no water added, no ice, just straight from the bottle. I mean, poured into a glass, but then he'll like add like a drop of water and then taste it, right? And then like you take a sip of water and then taste it. The way it changes your palate, it's pretty interesting. So definitely would recommend that. I do like an old fashioned, but I for the most part I just drink it over ice for me mainly.
yeah. You're talking about Freddie at the famous Freddie at Buffalo
Yes,
Trace. Yeah.
correct. So but for top three bourbons, do you have that, or is yours fluid?
I would say that it's pretty consistent, man. The Weller Special Reserve, Weller 107 are some of my favorite bourbons
Okay.
in general. I would say that number three, granted, I haven't had everything. Like, for example,
Yeah.
I haven't had the Weller Antique lineup at
Mm.
all, other than some Pappy. But like the yeah, so I haven't had everything, and there's a number of bottles that I've yet to get. John, I complained to John, and I've yet to see like Old Carter. I've yet to see Midwinter's Night Dram, which just had a huge drop in Georgia, and I've completely struck out on.
Okay.
Which, if you have any Midwinter's Dram and you want to share, please let me know. Hint, hint, wink, wink, John. But as far as like the third, um, and I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a tough one because there's just so many good bourbons out there.
I was
Mm,
gonna say, like, you can think while I ramble.
yeah, I'll think for my
So, although
third.
mine's relatively quick, I don't know. I guess mine. I'm so new, like so. But for me, I'm just thinking like, what do I reach and grab like the most frequently for myself? So,
Hmm.
um, so it's Buffalo Trace. That's still my favorite, and it holds sentimental value for me too, since my dad and I had it with Nutter Brothers after the national championship.
Nice.
So that's there. Um, I've been drinking a lot of Eagle Rare lately, actually. So that's kind of creeping up there. And then
Yeah.
for me, for like three, I mean, I don't know. There are. I guess I'm kind of similar to you. Like there are several that I could put in there. Like there's a staples like Maker's 46 is one you turned me on to early.
Yeah.
Um,
Maker's 46 is solid.
you mentioned Weller. I love Weller. The green
Hmm.
label. Which one is that? Special Reserve, right? I did
Special
have
Reserve.
one.
Yeah.
I did have 107. Shout out to Greg. At the Auburn game. That was the first time I had that. That was excellent. Or Old
So,
Elk.
so
I
good.
could put any of those in there for number three for me.
Hmm.
Right now, I'm going to go with the now famous French oaked Maker's 46 because I'm drinking that a lot.
Anything Maker's 46, I feel like is going to be a solid answer. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say that rather than like limit yourself to top three, like I would say that Weller and Weller 107
Mm,
are like go to bourbons for sure.
yeah.
I have ever since I started drinking bourbon, I've always had a backup bottle of Special Reserve.
Okay.
So, and that will always be the case for me. Like I'll never not have a backup bottle of that.
Yeah. It's
Um,
hard for me to get, but my dad got some for me recently. So
yeah. Um, So I would say that like for that number three spot, it's just whatever you have a couple of your favorites, and then that third one is just like for me, I would say that it's got to be something like a Maker's 46, Four Roses Small Batch
That's a
Select,
good one.
um, the the Old Forester 1910, Old Forester 1920.
Yeah,
Angel's Envy is another good one.
that is a really good one. Yeah,
Like in my mind, like when I think of like what are your favorite bourbons, it's like what can you just go to the liquor store, and I granted I sympathize with you, or I guess not sympathize, but like I feel for you
with my ABC store.
with your
Yeah,
ABC situation where you can't necessarily have that experience, but like
yeah,
I can drive down to the liquor store right now. I can drop 30, 40 bucks, $50, on on the high end or whatever, and I
yeah,
can get just about any fantastic bourbon that's just sitting on the shelf year round. Like I don't have to ask for it or anything or play any games or
yeah,
anything like that. And I know it's going to be a fantastic pour. And that's kind of like
yeah.
those bourbons that I just mentioned are kind of in that vein.
Nice, nice, cool, cool. Let's see. Next up, we got Chad Jarvis. What are your plans for the bye week? Still watch college football or completely tune it out? I will say, for me, sometimes it kind of depends on what's going on. So, like, we actually have a lot going on this weekend. um, so, I mentioned last weekend was opening weekend for Ella's play. It's weekend number two this weekend, and then also Lily is in a play. So we're gonna have visitors in town, and it's gonna be a bit hectic. So
So
I'm
we're
not gonna.
trading. You've
What's that?
traded soccer. You've traded soccer for the playbill, huh?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So this weekend we got Sister Act Junior, what Lily's in, and then Ella is in.
Ooh.
You're in town, as I told you. Not you are in town. You're in town. The musical. If you never heard of it, I'd never heard of it either. I will say it's actually like hilarious.
I'm still really curious why she's in a play about Gainesville. Like, what's going on with that?
Perfection. So I will still watch some college football though. I won't. I'd never really tune it out, but I won't be like on the couch all day like I usually am.
I'm probably gonna watch some, just because. So Carter actually has to travel to Alabama this weekend, but my
Mm,
wife's photography business, which if anybody's interested in family or newborn photography, you can contact Lindsay Powell Photography. Uh,
absolutely.
Technically not a sponsor, but shameless plug. Um, but yeah, so she's got a ton of sessions this weekend. So she's going to be wrapped up with that. And I've got the girls, and Carter actually is supposed to have a game in Alabama, but um, I'm going to send him with one of his buddies from the team. So I'm not going to go. So I'm hoping that I'll have a little bit of opportunity to watch some of the game um, for UCLA Oregon, just because
Mm,
the better that Oregon does, the better it looks for Georgia in terms of like that quality wins standpoint.
yeah.
That's a 3:30 kickoff, and then you've got I think was it Clemson? Yeah, Clemson is.
Clemson and Syracuse is at noon.
Uh huh.
That's two undefeateds. Syracuse is still
Yeah,
undefeated. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's like one of those like, are we really? What are we going to find out here? Like,
yeah,
are you still going to be asking the question? Well, are you still overrated?
right, right,
Because it's Syracuse and it's Clemson. Because I feel like neither one of them have really played anybody. So
right.
anyway,
Yeah, you got Bama, Mississippi State at night,
yeah,
and then TCU. I know you don't like. I don't know. I know you don't like the Big 12 schools, but TCU, Kansas State is another ranked matchup. So
yeah. Texas, Oklahoma's playing as well.
Oklahoma State,
Sorry. Oh yeah, Oklahoma State. Sorry.
you're good.
And then you got Mississippi, LSU. They're playing, so there's
Yeah,
lots of opportunities for some good matchups. Might might look over my shoulder and see what's going on with that Ohio State game. Just to watch it for a little bit, but yeah.
cool. Yeah, so that's me. I won't be like as locked in as on a weekend where Georgia's playing, but I will not completely tune it out.
For
Um,
sure.
let's see, 51-7 GTA. With this being an off week for the Dogs, what is another game between two other schools you would like to attend one day? Um, and his was Oregon at Washington. Um, Mine actually also involves Washington, but it would be hard for me to ever actually go to this game. But I wouldn't mind going to an Apple Cup, because Kim's dad went to Washington, so he's a Husky, and a lot of other folks from her family or Washington State. So her cousin went to Washington State. Her uncle went to Washington State. So I wouldn't mind
Hmm.
seeing one of those out there. I've seen Washington, the Huskies. I've seen their stadium just when we've been out there visiting family and everything. It's a great setting. So I don't know. That's one that I'd like to see.
Oh man, I don't know. I will say that like I've seen the pictures of this game. I think it was Logan went to BYU versus Utah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That looked like a really cool. That looked like a really cool experience.
yeah.
Um, I would say Michigan Ohio State is probably another one. I
Mm,
have I have a good buddy that's a Michigan fan. Shout out Brian Kingsbury. Um, he and I are banter a good bit. He keeps me updated with what's going on with Michigan. He was very high on them this weekend. Um,
gotcha.
I would love to see I'd like to go with him to check out like the Ohio State Michigan in the Big House.
Yeah, yeah,
And then I would say another one that I would look to is maybe like a Notre Dame game, like a Notre Dame USC.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I've been to Notre Dame twice. Obviously for Georgia, but I went to Michigan State up there too. It is a good place to watch a game.
yeah, yeah. I'd say those would be up there for me. I have to think about anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I think Army Navy is a
I was
would
about to
be a
say
cool
Army
one.
Navy might be one, but
That'd be a
like
cool one.
it'd
The
be
funny
cool.
thing, oh
It'd be
what?
better. It'd be better if they were ranked. You know what I mean? Like you'd have to go
Yeah.
when they
Well,
were.
it was funny because my initial thoughts were all going towards like these neutral site games, which I know is like all the the rage discussion about with Georgia in the cocktail party. But like Red River Shootout, Texas Oklahoma, that wouldn't be a bad one either. So
Shout out to Josh Hancher. He and I are very much in agreement on the Dog Central text thread about this. College football games should be played on campus.
I'm sure we'll have some debate about that next week. Um, or we could be like Mike Griffith today on 960 The Ref and just talk about it forever. It was comical. So they have him on like every Monday, and the way the conversation went, Logan was like, they had talked about George Vanderbilt, and then Logan was like, so how about that Tennessee beating Alabama? And he was like, why is the cocktail party in Gainesville or in Jacksonville? Like it was so weird. It wasn't that big of a pivot, but like it had nothing to do with what they were trying to talk to him about, and he went on this like long diatribe about the cocktail party, and it was interesting. So we know his thoughts. So hey, it's something for you that you and Mike Griffith agree on now, John.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I'm a fan.
Nothing wrong with that. I think we're going to disappoint Fletcher Proctor on this one. So Fletcher Proctor said, since the football team is on a bye, I'm tuning in for the basketball preview. Mike White, the transfers. I'm all ears. So John, I know you're not going to know anything about that.
I
I would.
do. I know a little bit about Mike White. I know a little
Okay.
bit
What's
about the transfers. I know a little bit about what's going on.
okay?
I'm excited for all the UGA basketball fans. I'm excited for you guys.
I'm excited too. I don't have anything like earth shattering, but what I'll say is this: like when I remember when we played against Louisiana Tech in the NIT when Mike White was there before he went to Florida, and they absolutely destroyed us, like in Athens at Stegman, and they killed us. And I was like, man, like why can't we play offense like those guys do? And so I don't know, like he was like a really hot commodity then. And I don't know, I liked the way they Louisiana Tech played. So, say what you want about how everything went at Florida. I think they're a different animal than us. So I'm excited from that standpoint. And then like, I mean, yes, we got a bunch of transfers in, et cetera, but like I'm excited about the transfers that transferred in last year that are still here. So, I mean, I think the biggest like job number one for Mike White was to get Kario Okendo to come back, and he did. So that was huge. And then with Jalen Ingram Jalen Ingram was like our best player, I think, last year. I mean,
Mhm.
by the end of the season, it was Kario Okendo, but until that point, before Jalen Ingram got hurt, like he was the best player. So getting him back is going to be huge. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I wish that I had gone to Stickmania. Actually, I know we already talked about that, but I'm definitely excited about the season.
Good stuff. Love it.
Cool. So I doubt that was in depth enough. So sorry, Fletcher, but that's all I got. I'm not all tuned in yet. I'll get ready soon. They're playing at Wake Forest. I might try to go to that game actually. So we'll take a look. All right, friend of the show, Tim Riley. How can we spend the bye week preparing for the Florida air assault? I mean, Red Rider AR-15 rushing attack. And the Tennessee passing game. Apparently, nobody from Alabama wanted to cover Hyatt in the Tennessee game. Dogs better be ready for Hyatt and Tillman. Can't focus all on Tennessee. Got to get through Florida. Um, I mean,
Agreed.
yeah. I think the last part is what's key. I mean, I don't know. I mean, with it being a bye week, you think Kirby's going to do anything with the team prepping for Tennessee, or is it all Florida for 2 weeks?
I I mean, it would be coaching malpractice to not look ahead a little bit in the bye week, right?
Yeah,
Like to
I think.
at
Yeah,
least get some high level. I don't think they're going to necessarily like be doing walkthroughs and installs and stuff like that.
right.
But like,
Yeah, the coaches will probably be looking at things.
yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
think that
yeah,
coaches are probably dissecting a good bit about. Like, I think I told you guys like there's a lot of film out there, but I think that a lot of that's going to be them checking out and figuring out how they're going to defend Hyatt and who may be best suited for that, and looking at are we going to be playing who are we going to be playing at Star? You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
those kinds of things.
Right. Okay.
Because our pass defense is going to be crucial in that game, so it would be
Yeah.
coaching malpractice to not dedicate some resources to that in the downtime.
Yep. I would agree. I would agree. I like this one. Tim had a second question. Which player or players do we need back for ultimate success in the second half of the season? And he said, can we win with the available roster from the Vandy game? So I think we can. I think we get more room for error. I'll pose it to you this way. I mean, because like I think the biggest ones right now are Jalen Carter and AD Mitchell, right? I'm gonna ask it to you this way, John. Who's if you could only bring one, if you could only guarantee you're going to get one of them back for the rest of the season, who do you pick?
For the rest of the season moving forward, like
Yeah,
from today.
yeah,
All right, so here's my answer. I think that, and we're talking about the rest of the regular season, right?
Oh my gosh, you got to clarify. I'm the one that changed Tim's question, so I guess that's fair. Sure.
Okay, so if we're talking regular season, because I'd like to have everybody back if we when we hit
Well,
the
yeah.
playoff.
I mean, I think if you pick, I mean, do you agree though? Like, who do we need back? It's those two guys, right?
So my need back is AD Mitchell.
Yeah.
For the specifically for the Tennessee game, and
Mm,
I think that we could beat everybody. I think we could beat everybody left on our schedule with the team that we lined up against. Against Vandy.
yeah.
I think that, like you said, that the margin of error,
Yeah.
gets bigger if any of those guys are back. But for me, I really want AD Mitchell back for the Tennessee game because I have a feeling, and this is looking ahead to the Tennessee preview, but I have a feeling that game is going to come down to Stetson Bennett, like
Mm,
throwing the ball deep.
mm,
We may need to score points quickly. You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
the recipe for success for them in most of the games that I've seen has been they jump on you early, and if they jump on us early, and if our offense stalls or whatever, like having a deep threat like AD Mitchell, a solid wide receiver one position
Right.
is going to come in increasing use
Yeah.
in a game like that.
Right. I agree. I think that's fair. That's what I would say too. Especially for that game. But yeah, but to me, those are the two guys that we need back, or would make the biggest impact. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right, Jason Huggins. So he said, "Well, We did not cover the 38 by halftime against Vandy, but it didn't matter. I never went inside. Just kept the tailgate going and watched a little Bama Tennessee. But hey, but he could hear, like I said, he could hear the Georgia game from his tailgate.
Yeah, you just take a just lean over in your tailgate chair and oh yeah, Stetson threw another touchdown pass. We're good.
So then he,
I'm just like that's just simply amazing because I love a good tailgate. I love a good
yeah,
tailgate party, and as you know, like I went to the Oregon game, didn't go, not for wanting to go, but just couldn't figure out the ticket situation. But
right, right.
just if you can't figure out or don't want to go, like why get up for the party when you're there, you got an atmosphere, you got all your goods to the left, and you got your TV to the right, and your
Right.
people around you, music. You can potentially watch some other games. You know what I mean? So I think that's the best of both worlds. I love a good tailgate party. So Jason, we welcome you to the parking lot.
Amazing. He said, my question for this week, best time for a beach trip, fall or summer? And he said, Sea and Hilton Head Island or St. Simon's Island between now and the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Go Dogs. I know you always have your big beach trip in the fall for fall break.
So yeah, I mean, I was about to say I've got a baked in answer on that one because we went for fall break. Yeah, I would say number one, it's cooler. The weather that we had in Florida was amazing. Now,
Yeah.
I'm torn on Hilton Head because I do love the atmosphere in Hilton Head, but I feel like that the temperatures are always a little bit cooler out there. Like
He's
the
just
water.
saying that he's going to be there between now and Florida and cocktail party. Hug Dog is telling us his travel plans. He's going to go. I'm reading this as he's going to Hilton Head and he's going to St. Simon's for the next 2 weeks,
I
leading up to the
love
cocktail
it.
party.
I
That's how
love
I
it.
read that. I'm not sure if that was accurate, but
I
that's how
know,
I read
man. Let us know what time we need to get there.
it. Yeah.
But yeah, I would say the fall for sure. Like especially if we're talking about going down to Florida. Like
Yeah.
that weather that we had was amazing.
See, we don't get fall break. We don't have fall break. So it's been a long time since I've done that. I mean, we'll go down for Thanksgiving sometimes, but I don't think that's quite exactly what we're talking about here. So, you know, summer is when I go to the beach. But I do love a good fall beach trip as well.
Yeah, it's cheaper and it's not as hot.
Yeah. All right. I don't have the soundboard, but no one complained. So it's time for coaches. Although not over unders this week. It's going to be a little mixed up, but okay, sorry. So for the bye week, coaches sent us over something a little special, a little different. Coaches bye week, either ors. So John, you have to pick whether you're going to do like which one do you prefer. So first
Okay.
up, do you prefer the apple orchard or the pumpkin patch?
Well, again, I feel like I have a baked-in answer here because we've already been to the pumpkin patch. We have not been to the apple orchard. From what I understand, the apple orchard is actually a little barren right now. But
Okay.
pumpkin patch for me.
Okay. I think I do prefer the apple orchard because in North Carolina, that's what we tend to do in the fall. We used to do that actually on the bye week, but this weekend with the kids both in plays, we won't be doing that. But I do love a good apple orchard. However, I will say there was one time many years ago. I think it was 2007, and I know I've told you about this, John. When I went to the pumpkin patch, when this was when Ella was like one and a half or something, and we went on a hayride at the pumpkin patch. And who was on the hayride with us? Veron Haynes. It was pretty cool.
Veron
It was hilarious,
Haynes.
and I think Justice actually was with him, I believe. So, but at any rate, so that was a good time. So I was
Once again, you failed us when recruiting, Jim.
my bad.
But I still crack up about how he introduced himself. Hey, I'm the guy that did that famous play in Tennessee.
Yeah, he said, "Hey, I'm Veron Haynes. I caught that pass at Tennessee."
Yeah, I know.
It was amazing. It was pretty funny. All right, I digress. I took us off the rails. Okay, next up, bye week either or. Would you rather go to a wedding or a gender reveal?
A wedding, 1,000%.
I've never been to a gender reveal, so I guess I'm gonna have to say wedding too.
Did you guys never do a gender reveal with either of your daughters?
No, those weren't. It wasn't a thing yet.
No, it was absolutely a thing. I think you're just because
Yeah,
I have a daughter that's as old as your oldest, so I know it was a thing because we did it with one of them. And Carter for sure was a gender reveal.
yeah. No, it didn't exist back then.
I say weddings for the open bar.
Right. Well, even though it's a bye week, they still got to have a TV, but I'll still go with that.
Yeah,
All right. Cabin in the mountains or house at the beach on the bye week?
on the bye week, it's a
Yeah.
house on the beach for sure.
I think I'm gonna go cabin in the mountains because I do love a nice trip to Asheville on the bye week. We've done that before.
I guess
Um,
if you throw snow in the mountains, I'm going to go with the cabin in the mountains. But if you
okay.
don't have snow in the mountains, I'm going house to the beach.
Okay. Fair. Winery or brewery? Um, I guess I'm gonna go brewery.
Brewery for sure, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Number
don't.
one, number one, the brewery is better in my opinion. But then you've also got like literally every brewery now like makes their own booze, so like you're going to get cocktails. So
Fair. Fair. I haven't been to a wine. It's been a long time since I've gone to a winery. Love a good brewery. Love a good brewery.
yeah,
Uh,
that's more my scene. Let's just put it that way.
yeah. Yeah. Same. Agreed. Me too. Let's see. Uh, binge a Netflix series or have a movie marathon.
Netflix series for me, if you could find something, or does it have to be Netflix series? Like I'll give you for instance,
Let's just say streaming series. We can clarify.
yeah, yeah. Like I've been binging the 1883 series, the Yellowstone prequel.
Oh, okay. Is that good? You like it?
Oh, it's fantastic! I love it.
Okay.
Tim McGraw is an underrated actor in that series, by the way. Like,
Okay. So we have not seen that yet. I would agree. I would agree. I mean, I do love movies, but there's something about binging a series that's incredible.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'd
for
agree.
sure. Plus, Sam Elliott's in this thing too, so I love Sam Elliott.
Nice. Um, okay. Oh, gosh, I feel like this. Well, I guess either one's okay. I felt like Coach was trying to get us in trouble, but I don't think necessarily. Be careful with how you phrase this, John. Shopping with the wife or a fall family photo shoot. Which would you
Okay,
rather do on the bye weekend?
with apologies to my wife, I definitely would prefer to go shopping with the wife.
Okay.
But so I will say that the fall family photo situation, I have some expertise in this arena.
Yes.
If you are a husband, and this is really like as a communicative device to all the men listening, but if you're a husband and your wife has paid a substantial amount of money, as my wife, I would say that my wife is, on the high end of the experience and cost standpoint or whatever.
Sure.
But she does that for a reason. There's a reason that she charges those things. So
Yeah.
the experience that you get is invaluable. So if your wife has paid that money, or if you yourself have invested that money for your wife, listen to what the photographer is telling you. Don't be an asshole.
Sorry, Carter.
I've always encouraged her to like buy like mini bottles of bourbon or something like that. Like figure out
Mm,
if the husband likes bourbon or something like that, and like bring some
right.
mini bottles for him as like a here, sir, do what I tell you, and you get this. Instead of
Nice.
it's kind of like the kids get M&Ms and the dads get bourbon.
Right. I like that. I like that. Okay, so we are like horrible about doing family photo shoots. But I'm still gonna go with the family photo shoot, and I'm gonna do that from my wife's perspective because Kim hates going shopping with me. Apparently, the
Ooh,
entire family says that I'm a horrible person to shop with, which because I can't make up my mind on anything.
you're
So
so particular. You mean
I
you
just
overthink? You mean you overthink things? This is
yeah,
weird. I've
you're
never heard this.
you're
I've
so
never heard
shocked.
this.
You're so shocked right now. Yes, and it's not even that I'm picky. It's that like I'll find like two things that I'm like, which one do I get? And like I can't decide.
Time, time out. You're not picky. What? I call shenanigans.
I mean,
You and Hunter are literally like messaging each other on, hey, Jim, check out this jacket. Oh man, I would love that if this color was a little bit different and that logo was a little bit to the left. Like,
Okay, fair. You got me. You got me. Okay, true.
my friend, I love you, but you are very particular. And I'm that way too. My family says that I'm horrible to shop for as well.
Awesome. Okay, so we're saying family photo shoot. Oh wait, you actually said shopping.
I
I'm
said
saying
shopping.
photo shoot to save my family from having to
Also,
save my wife from shopping with me.
if I go shopping with the wife, I'm assuming that means no kids, and I'm all for
Well,
that.
there you go. There you go. Oh, see, yeah. So that is so it is a bit of a date. Kim still doesn't want to do that. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Golf outing or trail hike. It's for me. It's golf outing, but
I would say golf outing. Even though I'm not a golfer, I would borrow some clubs or whatever. But I think that scenario sounds more appealing than doing a trail hike. Depends on where we're going.
when I see trail hike, I don't think like family hike through the woods because like that's that I would put up there because like getting to do something with the whole family. But like trail hike, I know my kids are totally out, kind of thing. So like I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
I mean, like if you're going to like a waterfall or something like that, like I could
Right,
get on board. Or
right.
if we're hiking to like Yosemite or something like that, I would definitely
That's
take the
true.
trail
That's true.
hike.
True. Okay, fair. All right, let's do some rapid fire. Which bourbon would you rather have?
Rapid fire. All right, this is going to be easy. I feel like
Okay, Woodford or Maker's Mark?
Maker's Mark,
Same. Elijah Craig or Old Forester?
Old Forester, like not even close.
Okay, agreed. I actually haven't had Elijah Craig. Let's see, Weller Special Reserve or Weller Antique 107?
This may surprise some folks, but Weller Special Reserve.
See, I've only had the Antique 107 once, so it's hard for me to say definitively. It was amazing, but I'll go Special Reserve as well, I guess. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this is going to kill me because I haven't had these either. Old Elk Sherry Cask or Old Elk Port Cask?
I actually have not had the port cask, so I can't answer this question. So
Okay.
I own the sherry cask. It's pretty good. I feel like the port cask I may enjoy better, but that's just
Okay.
my gut instinct.
Okay. I haven't had either, so I can't answer. Henry McKenna Bottle and Bond or 1792 Single Barrel?
Single barrel.
Okay. Angel's Envy or Buffalo Trace?
Did you answer that one?
I haven't had either of those, so I didn't answer. Sorry.
You haven't had McKenna?
Not
Huh.
Henry. Not Bottled and Bond. I've got the 10-year. Is that different, or is it the same thing?
No, that's the same thing.
Okay, I still have it. I still haven't opened it. I
The
should open
green.
it. I should open it tonight.
It's got a green label on it.
Yeah, I've got that. Okay, I just
Yeah.
haven't opened it. It's sitting on the shelf.
Ay, ay, ay.
Sorry.
I would
Angels.
say single barrel.
Okay, Angels Envy or Buffalo Trace.
Angel's Envy. Sorry, Buffalo Trace.
Man, yeah, I know. I picked Buffalo Trace as my number one, so I'm gonna go stick with Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace. I will say Angels Envy is excellent. I really do like it.
I'll throw a clarifying statement on this. If it's a Buffalo Trace store pick, I might go with a store pick.
Okay, and then Eagle Rare or Blanton's.
Eagle Rare. Blanton's is the most overrated bourbon. Sorry, guys.
Okay, that makes me feel better because I haven't had it, and so I will go with the Eagle Rare. But like I said, I got that recently. I mean, I had it before, but I actually got my own first bottle like that I have at my house recently. So
I
definitely
know.
enjoying it.
Bobby's probably screaming at me through the through the podcast.
Bobby has like he can like spell Blanton's with the little horses. Like,
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, I'm an Eagle Rare guy myself. I just bought one the other day, so I'm good.
nice.
I got my backup bottle for it.
Nice. All right, well that was it. Thank you, Coach. That was fun. Thank you for the bi-week either ors. That was a good time.
That was super fun. I like the those were good. Those were good. Like you basically like ran down like a number of like of the heavy hitters. I think we mentioned them all earlier. Like we mentioned Weller, we mentioned Maker's Mark, Old Forester, Angels Envy, Buffalo Trace, Eagle Rare,
Yeah,
Blanton's. Like
I
those
thought
are,
his activities were good too because we had the debate on a couple of them. Those were good.
yeah, for sure. Good job.
Way to be, Coach. Way to be.
Good job, Corch.
I know my dad said he had a good talk with Coach Vanderbilt game. So sorry I missed that, but I'll be back for Tennessee. I suppose that's it. We actually, so we talked about it, right? So we know what we got going on this weekend. Or did we talk about what you have? I know I talked about what I have going on this weekend. What do you got going on? You got soccer and such, I assume.
We talked at the beginning.
We
Carter's
did.
going to Alabama.
That's right. The Alabama. Okay, I thought. Okay. Yep. Good.
Carter's
Good.
going to Alabama, and I've got the kids here. So Lindsay's got sessions, and so
That's right. Now I remember. Okay. Sorry. It was like an hour ago.
yeah.
My bad. My bad. Cool. All right. Well, that'll wrap it up. So let's see. Housekeeping. So we'll have probably, and that shouldn't be too long after you're listening to this. We'll see. We'll have it out later this week, probably by Thursday. Our follow up with British Bulldog about his trip, and then hope everyone enjoys the bye weekend. And then after that, our next episode will be to preview the Gators for the cocktail party. So
FTMF, go dogs.
go dogs.